All right. Well, we're going to go ahead and get started. So, good morning again, everyone, and thank you for joining us today for American Indigenous Tourism Association's webinar series. Today's webinar is in partnership with the U.S. Forest Service. My name is Danielle Tehema. I am the Education Business Development Director for AIT with a little bit of a cold, so I apologize for my voice. And so in this second webinar with Ben Rupert, AIT will further be exploring the unique tool developed by Nevada's Indian Territory that can be used to support the development of a sustainable land use plan alongside a tourism recreation plan, serving multiple goals for healthy forests in cultural perpetuation and economic development. And as you know, for more than 28 years, the American Indigenous Tourism Association has served as the only national organization dedicated to advancing cultural heritage tourism in Native nations and communities across the U.S. Established by tribes for tribes to address inequities in the tourism system, the association is a 501c3 national nonprofit governed by an all-Native board of directors and serves as a united voice for the $15.7 billion Native hospitality sector. Our mission is to define, introduce, grow and sustain American Indian, Alaska Native, and Native Hawaiian tourism that honors traditions and values while helping businesses become market and export ready for domestic and international markets. Tribes or individual entrepreneurs who are looking to start or expand their cultural tourism footprint can find resources at americanindigenous.tourism.org, and visitors interested in learning more can learn more on destinationnativeamerica.com. And like I said, today we're happy to welcome back Ben Rupert. Ben is of Duck Valley, Washoe-Paiute, and I'm sorry, Duck Valley, Shoshone-Paiute, and Washoe
There
descent.
you
Sorry,
go.
Ben.
You're
Ben
good.
is part of the Nevada's Indian Territory Leadership Team, a marketing arm of the Nevada Commission on Tourism. He's been the lead on Nevada's Indian Territory destination development of the Great Basin tribal communities. He's a native dancer and traditional artist. His passion is to share his native culture through cultural perpetuation, cultural presentations, dancing, fishing, hunting, and traditional art, and being a steward of the Great Basin culture. He recently retired from the city of Reno Fire Department after 33 years in fire service. Ben's married and has three sons and three grandchildren. Is that right? Three grandchildren now, or is it five?
Oh, it's way more than
It's way
that.
more. Well, we got to update your bio.
Yeah.
Ben graduated.
I'm at the point where I'm starting to lose count.
Ben graduated from Oregon State University and recently received a master's in sustainable tourism from Arizona State University, and also served in the U.S. Army as an airborne infantryman. I'll now pass it over to Ben. Just a little housekeeping. If you have any questions, please do place them in the chat or the Q&A. We will be monitoring them and we will address questions at the end of the presentation. Ben, I will turn it over to you.
Fantastic. Well, I just wanted to let everybody know we are finally getting weather here in the Lake Tahoe area, or as I mentioned before, we call it in Washoe Daho. And so it's finally started. We're finally getting our winter, and here it took all the way till mid-February before we're finally getting our snow. But over the next few days, we're expected to have anywhere from 6 to 10 feet of snow coming into the upper Sierra Mountain area. So we're glad to see that. I know Danielle, she's coming from Canada, and what was it like a high of 20 minus 20, and it's just crazy how cold it is over there. So I want to thank everybody for being here. This is part two of the first one. We just talked about how we downloaded the different formats that you can find on AIT's website under resource, and then we were able to um, Danielle, I don't see, all I'm
I
seeing is
Yeah, I see that. Hold on just a second, Ben.
okay. We got a chance to go over my nickname of Indigenous last time before, and talk about how I came about the nickname from my brother giving it to me once I retired from the fire service. I went on to Arizona State University and worked on my master's degree in sustainable tourism, and that is really what my new calling in life was going to be after I um, retired from saving lives and fighting fire for such a long time and being in the military, that I was able to redirect my life into sustainable tourism. And that led me to pursuing a degree at Arizona State University, where this is really what you're seeing here is all the things that I took from, you have the Native Hawaiian Hospitality Association, their strategic development planning that they're doing over there in the state of Hawaii, and along with AIT's website, and they have a resource section in there, and they have these different forms. And so I wanted to start off and just reiterate our vision. We set a very very bold statement, and that was because you always want to, when you're setting your vision, you want to shoot for the stars, and that's exactly what we're doing right here. This is a picture of me doing an eagle dance at nighttime underneath the Milky Way, and our vision is to change the world through eco-cultural tourism. Okay, I got it down now. So we wanted to do is I just wanted to spend a little bit of time, go over what we did last time. We talked about how you go on to AIT's website, and they have two forms that are on there. One is engaging responsible visitors through your story. And there is one that's called a companion resource, and the other one is called a visitor's toolkit. So on this one right here, it just talks about how first thing you want to do, obviously, is download the form that they have on there. And then it's going to talk about how you go about telling your story. And so you have a destination, you know that the value of this destination could be something that we can share with the world. And so, and that's the cool thing about all this, is that when, especially going to many different tribal organizations and talking to them about destination development, one of the main things they're worried about is having mass tourism. And we've seen over the years what mass tourism can do into certain areas. But this is a sustainable approach that you'll see going through these two forms right here. They just kind of give you a direct path to be able to make sure that you're sharing your story, but at the same time, you're taking a community value approach where you're engaging the community, you're engaging the cultural resource department. Everything is involved with your destination planning. So that way you have total control of your story, and you also have total control of how you want to manage your tourism, whether you're going to open it up to just very small type tourism. But the main thing is we want to promote responsible tourism, and we want to do it in a way that I'll refer to as called regenerative tourism, where you're taking the values of sustainable tourism, but you're also adding in a way that you can better your people at home. You improve the quality of life. You're talking about cultural identity. You're talking about cultural preservation. You're talking about your ecotourism opportunities that you have on your tribal lands. All of this is incorporated into a community value approach, and this is why these two forms were developed. They were developed in collaboration with Leave No Trace. Also, you see on the form there it says IANTA on there, but the organization has changed as AIT. So I'm sure they're in the process, just like you'll see a lot of the things that we have with Nevada's Indian Territory. We have the old logo of American Indigenous Tourism Association on there, but IANTA you see on there, but we're in the process of converting it over to American Indigenous Tourism Association. So this is the first form right here. It just talks about developing a website and considering different types of platforms that you can use, such as Facebook and LinkedIn and Instagram, TikTok. Last time I mentioned one of the things that we're using influencers, and we're also reaching out to Pinterest. And we've seen a huge uptick, not only utilizing the different social platforms that are out there, but TikTok is the one that is really starting to take off. And I mean, I said TikTok because I was sitting there looking at this one right down here. I was referring to Pinterest. Pinterest is the one that's really starting to elevate a lot of interest coming to our website. And then what they have is you have these different steps that you can follow in here. And it talks about listing with, in the form right here, it says nativeamerica.travel. This is a free website that you can put your destinations into with AIT and promote your destination that you develop. It has changed now, and it's called destinationnativeamerica.com. But if you go into the AIT website, it'll automatically lead you into the correct form. And so now you have this destinationamerica.com. You can put any kind of you can have individual so you can have a tribally owned organization that offers tourism that you can put in here. The tribe can have their own tourism that they can put in there, such as museums, different opportunities that the tribe may manage out there, and you can also put this on this website. Another thing that they have in there too is through Visit Widget, which is a navigation app. That's also available in the destinationnativeamerica.com. And the reason why I mention that is that's the route that we took with Nevada's Indian Territory. Not only did we create our website where we took getting an average visitation of 10,000 hits in an entire year, we've elevated this thing here where we're well over 500,000 hits that we're getting on our website. So these are some of the things that we utilize from AIT to be able to develop this interest that came to our website. So you want to make sure that you're also in here. They talk about using QR codes. And you know, the new thing, and I apologize, I don't really know too much about it, but I guarantee you I am starting to learn. I'm going to be out learning more about it, is the use of AI. That is becoming so you're always constantly evolving with the changes, because you know, you have the website, and now QR codes was a big thing, and so you want to continue with the QR codes, but now you're getting into these different types of virtual reality type stuff. You're getting into AI that's coming involved with it. These are all things that you have to evolve your destination with. So that's one thing that we're looking at, especially with our navigation app that we have. We're looking at the company that we're working with is talking to us about how to incorporate the use of AI into our navigation app and also our destination planning. It also talks about seeking out destination partners out there, you know, state, regional, and the state of Nevada here. We have over 80% of our lands out there are public lands. So we have BLM, Forest Service, National Park, the state, along with our tribal lands out there. So these are, it encompasses a huge area of the entire state where you can pretty much you just drive outside of Vegas and you're into BLM. And a good example would be if you're in Las Vegas and you just drive a little bit to the east, maybe about 4 miles, you're going to be on BLM land in the Red Rock Canyon area. So this is the kind of thing that we have in the state of Nevada that actually is a very, very good benefit to us, because we don't have to deal with so much private lands, that we can do our destination development with the idea that people can travel just about anywhere in the state and be on public lands. And then it also talks about considering the use of videos and press releases. And I included a press release just recently in the last presentation that we did, but we always love to create videos. And one of the things that we're utilizing for us is not only on our website to put these videos, but our navigation app that we're also incorporating these videos into. Then the second form is a visitor tool. It has the same, so don't want to confuse anybody. When you look on the resource for AIT, you'll see that both start off with engage responsible visitors through your story. One was the companion one, and this one here is the a visitor's tool. And so you want to look at both of these forms and download both of these forms. But this is when you're starting to get into your actual destination development. And I fell short in mentioning that the reason this form was developed is it was a collaboration between Leave No Trace. We know the sustainability platform that Leave No Trace brings to us, also with the American Indigenous Tourism Association and their continual outreach to work with all of our tribal communities out there to make sure that your tourism is based upon respecting our culture, allowing us to tell our own story, and being able to approach it in a very sustainable way that this thing promotes our quality of life. So they developed these forms, but they also had a steering committee that was comprised of numerous tribal organizations across the country, and that's how this whole thing was developed here. So this is a very good approach, and this is the exact approach that we use with Nevada's Indian Territory to talk about what is our ancestral homelands, who are we as people, and then you can incorporate your language in here. You can work with your cultural resource departments to make sure that you have correct spelling, and you're working with community. Make sure that what you're presenting is what your community wants to present out there. So you're taking that, as I mentioned before, that community value approach to it. What is your traditional language? What other language do you speak out there? How to be able to travel in the area and do it in a very responsible and respectful way. And then you have visitors can respect our community and responsibility through recreation of the outdoors. And this is a big thing, because I think that this is what provides us a niche out there. There's so many people when I know a lot of you can attest to this, is when you travel around, if you go to travel trade shows, or you're just hearing the people that want to come into your tribal lands, that they're talking about that they want, there's just such a driving force for people to learn more and more about our culture out there. And this is where we can use this as a driving force to do it in a very responsible and respectful way that respects our culture, that improves our quality of life out there. And then these other steps right here, you talk about traveling to new places and asking questions. So this is what we've taken the opportunity, not only in our navigation app, but also on our website, as we have a Q&A section. So people can look at that and typical questions that we're hearing out there. So as we all know, a lot of people say, well, are these open to the public? And so we identify in there, and what's the protocol for taking pictures, or how can we travel to this area? We want to make sure that that's all those common questions are answered in there. We even take the time to explain for our cultural dances, the difference of styles of dances that you see out there are also on our website and also on our navigation app. And then how this is important. This is what I was talking about, the regenerative approach, is how the tourism can help the community, not only through economic development, but you have different types of projects. We have a lake nearby called Pyramid Lake. The biggest Lahontan cutthroat trout you catch in the entire world is right there. But what feeds it is Tahoe, or Lake Tahoe. That's the water that feeds Pyramid Lake. And then over time, that water has been split out to different watersheds. It's been taken for agricultural areas. And through litigation, a majority of the water is now traveling into Pyramid Lake. As a result, you're seeing these fish that are just starting to flourish, that are getting bigger and bigger. It was very uncommon to see a fish over 10 pounds. And then it started moving into the 15-pound range. Now it's a 20-pound. Now we're starting to get a few that are in the 30-pound range. And it's going back to historic type of fishing that we used to have in that watershed, where the record is over 44 pounds. So this is a continual growth. But what I'm getting at is that through the community efforts of being able, through litigation, of being able to get water rights, protecting that quality of water, doing different types of projects out there where they go out and they clean the river, and they work on how to, for example, like a fishing, they'll have like seminars out there to show how to bring in the fish, that you're not harming that fish, because it's a very sandy area and you can do a lot of harm to the fish if you're not really, if you pull them or drag them right straight on in, and they just get covered up with all the sand, and it's very harmful to the fish, if not being fatal for the fish. And then you provide a source of resources, and we like to direct most of our traffic not to us as Nevada's Indian Territory, but what we wanted to do is direct the traffic to the going to the either the tribe's website or going into their resource, their cultural resource. So these are different ways that we can direct the traffic to who the experts are, and getting back to what I keep on saying is allowing us to tell our own story, that you're not utilizing some outside resource, you're directing the traffic to each tribal community or their tribal website. One of the first things that we wanted to start off with is we wanted to start off with developing a map. So we have, and it comes as a surprise to a lot of people that there are 28 tribes in the state of Nevada. And so what we do is we're able to have 5 major groups. We have the Washoe, the Northern Paiute, the Western Shoshone, the Southern Paiute, and the Mojave that are on the very tip of Southern Nevada. And so what we did is we color coded this map, and not only did this map help out with being able to identify where all the different tribes are at, this map is also taken off, and we have different types of state organizations, such as transportation, such as voting, that take a look at our map, so that that way they're realizing through what they're doing, that they have an understanding of where each one of our tribal locations are. We are very nomadic in the Great Basin. As I mentioned before, the Great Basin means that the water does not travel out to the ocean. It all stays within there. You look at that southern area on that map there, where it's just above Las Vegas. Now that's the area that is getting out of the Great Basin there, because that water travels down into the Colorado River, which eventually ends up out in the Baja of California. But generally speaking, the entire state of Nevada is all in the Great Basin. And you see all the different adjoining states there. You have California on one side, you have Oregon, you have Idaho, and you have Utah, and you have Arizona on the other side. All these areas have areas that are in the Great Basin, even the Salt Lake. And that's why you have that really high salty lake right there, as all that water from the Wasatch Mountains drains into the Salt Lake area. And that used to be what was an ancient lake, was called Ancient Bonneville. And then in Nevada, we used to have an ancient lake, which was called Ancient Lahontan. And so these are different bodies of water that have shrunk over the years, but have left remnants of these smaller lakes in the area that we have fish in, and that we can go out there and we can pursue them through ecotourism. And one of the benefits for the Pyramid Lake Paiute tribe is that the entire lake is in the reservation boundaries. Sadly to say, you take Tahoe or Lake Tahoe, that was our homeland. That was the heart and soul of our people. And sadly, we don't own a single acre of land around the entire shorelines of Tahoe-Aga, or the shorelines of Lake Tahoe. And there is one area called Meeks Bay, but it's owned by the Forest Service, and they provide a lease. We've gone into a lease with the Washoe tribe, and the Washoe tribe is able to do their tourism through there. You have beach areas, you have swimming, you have all these different, and then the RV park, along with cabins that are in there, and then it leads off to all kinds of trails. But the ecotourism opportunity throughout the state of Nevada is just unbelievable, from skiing to going out and fishing and hunting to exploring, to the big thing that we're starting to get into now is the dark skies. That's a huge thing that we're seeing here in the state of Nevada, because the Great Basin has one of the best dark skies in the entire world. Is right here. So that gives an ecotourism opportunity to develop the dark skies opportunities. And that's what we did we're helping out the Duck Valley Shoshone-Paiute tribe with an observatory that we're putting out there. And it's going to be located right as part of the school too. So it's a really neat thing to be able to not only promote ecotourism through the dark skies, but to also be able to have a knowledge system there, or I'm not sure that's the right word, that you could be able to share with the education process, not only with the community, but also with anywhere from K on up all the way up through high school and beyond. So we wanted to also develop a land acknowledgement. So this is something that we use when we're doing travel trade shows, that and somebody asks us to do a land acknowledgement. Many of our tribes have their own land acknowledgement, and we always encourage that. But if we're going to be doing speaking, and we always want to make sure that we are talking about what we have here with Nevada's Indian Territory. And as we are a living history, our people were created from the land you walk on. Nevada's Indian Territory is home to 5 major tribes that we talked about: the Washoe, Northern Paiute, Southern Paiute, the Western Shoshone, and the Mojave tribes, which make up the 28 indigenous tribes that stretch across Nevada. While our culture is strong and tightly woven together, they're also diverse from one another with traditions that span countless generations. All tribes feel a deep connection to Mother Earth and to all the gifts that she has to offer. We carry our indigenous ancient knowledge into the future with us. It is our responsibility to respect Mother Earth and share our culture and learn to truly live eco-friendly. You're in Nevada's Indian Territory. So that was something we wanted to also put, that you can find throughout our destination development, is who Nevada's Indian Territory, and what do we want to send out as a land acknowledgement into the area. We wanted to take a community value approach. This community value approach was something that I learned with the destination planning that they're doing in the state of Hawaii with the Native Hawaiian Hospitality Association. And I know that Sherry Bowman's going to go ahead and send out a link to everybody. I would strongly recommend looking at all their destination planning that they're doing with NAHA, is the acronym that they use for their organization. They have toolkits in there, and their organization is just light years ahead of everybody else when it comes to the destination planning. And I went to their organization when I was putting together my final thesis or final project with Arizona State University. And this is where I got a lot of my information, and just to see how you can take this community value approach to be able to do your destination planning. They have visitor toolkits that they have these different pledges, such the pledge of the Pono Pledge, which means in their language is how to responsibly travel into the area. You know, you look at it, you respect the area, you learn from it, but you don't take. If anything, you're giving back, and that's that regenerative approach. We started off by attending tribal council meetings. We went to cultural meetings. So a lot of tribal organizations will have not only your council meetings, but they'll have a cultural committee. And so we wanted to make sure we were addressing all that, because those cultural committees are a lot of times they're having several in our area will have dinners, and so the community comes down, and so we all share time and spend time together before we do our presentation of who Nevada's Indian Territory is and what we'd like to do. And really what we're doing is we're listening to everybody else's needs and then coming up with a plan for doing our destination development. And that's very important to do. We talk about making sure that we're always promoting responsible tourism. We're taking that regenerative approach that I keep coming back to. We're looking at environmental conservation. And so these are things that you look at these pictures right here, you can see that a lot of people think that Nevada is just this barren area. Where you see my niece with one of those world-class type Lahontan cutthroat trout. She's on me because I have this picture of her, and I think that one's around 12 pounds right there. Well, she caught a 20-pounder, and so she's on me to change out that picture. So we're definitely going to have to change out that picture. But you see kayaking at Daho, you see going out and looking at the wildlife, such as looking at the bighorn sheep, and then you have these all these. We're just filled for what I call jackpot of areas where we have national parks and wilderness areas that you can go into and be able to get out there and explore the Great Basin. And it's not where you just drive and look at things and drive and look. You have to get out there and explore it. So that's what I think is really neat about our state here, is that you have the opportunity to get out and go hiking and explore and be able to fully understand the value of the Great Basin and then our people that were the first inhabitants of the Great Basin. Fire risk management. This is something that as a making a career out of being a firefighter, that I spend a lot of time with, and I know we only have an hour here, but fire risk management is something that you really want to incorporate into your destination planning. And at the very least, you can use the Leave No Trace has some very good things about putting fire out when we're dealing with um, the campfires, and how to just make sure that you're always fire aware. They have some very good sustainable pledges and different an approach that is always has that fire risk assessment. It's one of their key values that's in there. Also, I just last 2 weeks ago I went fishing out at Pyramid Lake and took a guy from Canada that has a Indigenous Tourism Organization, and we went out there and caught some beautiful trout out there. But I remember as we were getting our permits, I looked at the board behind there and it said Nevada Fire Information. So this is showing you how you can take something like that and always post it around your destination development. There are we in our area here we have called Living with Fire. Living with Fire is a defensible space. It has all these brochures that you can take, and you can look at your destination planning to make sure that you're planning with keeping fire in mind, because we can get millions of acres burning here in the Great Basin every year. It goes on cycles. Some years we'll just have a very little bit, and then some years it'll just absolutely take off. I was very concerned about this year. Now we're starting to get the snow that we very much need. So hopefully that helps to reduce that fire risk. But we're constantly anywhere in the state of Nevada, even down the Las Vegas area. We have Mount Charleston. We always have to take time to look at your fire risk assessment. So reach out to your local fire departments, reach out to local defensible space organizations that are in the area, and make sure that you're doing your planning to, if you have a museum, if you have a juniper tree that's right up growing on that museum, it's going right up to the eaves over there. This is an avenue for firebrands to get into and to be able to take off. We're starting to see through our climate change that we're starting to see fires that are in the area that we've never seen before. And I got to the point where I used to say, "Oh, that was a career fire for me. That was a career fire." And then once you know it, either that year or the next year or a few years after that, another one would be even worse than that one. They just keep on getting worse and worse and worse. And a lot of it has to do with our climate control. It has to do with the urban sprawl that's going more out into the area. And when you do the urban sprawl, along with that, you have your tourism destinations that could be state parks, could be national parks, could be your cultural centers, who knows what you have out there. But you always got to take the time to look at that fire risk assessment, because it's such a valuable resource that you have, and you want to be able to do the very best you can do to protect that. And you also want to be able to you're looking at your community, you're looking at the tourism that you developed coming in this area, and you're always protecting everybody. So you're looking out the safety. I can't stress fire risk assessment enough. And anybody can reach out to me, and I can give you more direction on where you can go to incorporate the fire risk assessment into your planning. So moving on to seeking grant funding, I know that they're going to have AIT is going to have a community navigator classes. They're having several classes that are coming up right here. Also, AIT puts out through the Rupert report, and then also through they also have another one that they put out that talks about different grant opportunities for arts, for destination development, strategic development plans, for destination development. All this is in there that you can have an opportunity to seek this different type of funding out there. Cultural awareness and proven quality of life. Very important to always have that in your destination planning, that you're always addressing the concerns of our community to be able to improve quality of life, and also identifying that cultural awareness in there. Very important to make sure that your destination is going to be done in a very responsible way, and also in a sustainable approach. So this is getting into how we actually developed our destination development. Um, my dog is moving around right here, so if you guys hear a little noise right here, that's he loves the snow and he wants to get out there and just run through the snow, puts his nose down and just starts paving paths outside. So getting at this one right here, we started off with the same vision that we had with Nevada's Indian Territory, changing the world through ecocultural tourism. We on our destination development, we've developed 4 different ones right now. For the one that we have not developed for is the Fort Mojave. And it's just because we haven't had the opportunity to go down there and meet with the Fort Mojave and come up with a destination if they want it. If they don't want it, always respect that too. So we have the same vision and our mission, and these are the 3 sustainability that we put into, and all this is available. Sherry's going to send out a link that has my paper that I wrote for ASU on developing this whole destination development. So you'll see that on there. You'll see the 4 different ones that are on there. We're just going to go through the NUMA one here, but there's a one for we call it the Daho one, and we have one which is for the Washoe people, and then we have Niue and Nuwu. These are the different 5 major groups that we have in the state of Nevada. We looked at economic support and economic opportunities for growth of the Numa people, local communities, and partnerships. We did address environmental protection of natural resources and promoting a sustainable environment. And then the third one, social cultural, improve cultural awareness and quality of life through a combination of inclusive tourism and responsible tourism that provides health and wellness for our Numa people, healthy land and healthy people. Then we wanted to have a guiding principle. So we established our vision, our mission, and then also guiding principles for each one of our destinations that we're developing. We have this one here is called the Numa Pledge. And as I mentioned before, we got this from the state of Hawaii on their sustainable pledge known as the Pono Pledge. When you go over there, you'll go to different destinations and you'll see the Pono Pledge over there, what it means to their people to be able to show how you can improve the quality of life in the state of Hawaii. We have this Numa Pledge. You can see it starts off with Numa means Northern Paiute. This is the traditional name of Numa. You can see it has an N, a U, an M, and a U on it. And then we have Native American destination planning and marketing, authentic indigenous tourism, and sustainable eco-cultural tourism. So the eco-cultural tourism, as I mentioned in the first session, is what we're doing is we're combining the eco-tourism opportunities with our cultural opportunities, and that's what we call the eco-cultural tourism. That's our niche that we have here in the Great Basin, is that we can promote our culture while at the same time having people be able to go out and be able to see our homelands and utilize the ecotourism opportunities that are out there. Useful and meaningful opportunities to be stewards of Mother Earth and protect the Great Basin biodiversity. Very, very fragile. We don't have water that goes out of the Great Basin, so water in this area is absolutely vital, just like it is everywhere else, but you can see how critical it is in our area to be able to sustain growth in our areas. If we don't have the water and we're not protecting our water, we're not going to have the Great Basin. Meaningful awareness of Numa culture while improving quality of life and respecting cultural identity. And the last one here for our U is understanding Indigenous wellness and transformative experiences through responsible and inclusive tourism. Transformative experiences, where the meaning behind that is when you come and you visit our homelands, you're walking away with not only with a better understanding of our people and who we are, but there's something that triggers to go out and learn more about our people, to be able to look at an opportunity to be able to help the Numa people. It creates this sense of belonging that you're part of this area here, and you're looking at an opportunity to make the place even better, just like regenerative tourism. we have a branding logo, and so each one. Well, one of my big thing is, well, I want to get a grant, and I would love to have one of our local artists design a guy, which means Lahant cutthroat trout or trout in our language of the Numa language, Northern Paiute, and it says a guy Lahant cutthroat trout, water is life, and a guy Lahant and cutthroat trout spiritually connects the water of the Great Basin and remnants of ancient Lake Lahant that I was mentioned before, and ancient Lake Bonneville. That's the remnants of that one is Salt Lake, the remnants of ancient Lake Lahontan. We have a few lakes here, such as a Walker Lake and Lake that are the remnants of these two ancient lakes here. The guy's eyes contain the wisdom for navigating through the Great Basin. An annual return of the white pelican into the Great Basin would signal the annual guy's spring migration into the heart of the Great Basin. Water sources such as Lake Tahoe or Daho and the Sierra Mountain tributaries. A guy provides a sacred food source for all Great Basin tribes. The guy's tail and fins wash away the carbon footprint from the spiritual and ecocultural tourism of our Numa people. I just think that it is so neat, and we can develop one. We have one for Western Shoshone. We call it just like the kids would say, "What's up?" "What's up" means is the desert bighorn, word for desert bighorn. So we have one for that. So we have one for each one of the areas that we go into. But this is just a way to be very creative, to involve something in there and of your destination planning that is beyond what a lot of other people think about. And but there's things in here such as that white pelican coming into the Pyramid Lake. When that signaled the spring migration, there you have this migration of these fish would go from Pyramid Lake up the Truckee River, right in the downtown of where Reno is now, and go into Daho, and then go up to the tributary, and then be able to spawn there. So the Numa people would collect the Lahant cutthroat trout as they came out at Pyramid Lake, and then when they went into the tributaries of Daho, that's when the Washoe people would collect the Lahant cutthroat. So you can see how valuable and how it was all connected together. One of the things that you'll find in my report that we did is called the Recreational Opportunity Spectrum. And you can just type that in. You can type it into YouTube, and it'll tell you how to set these things up. And this is what's really adaptable to your areas, that you can use this ROS, be able to identify. You'll see on the top right there, I have the site on there. And I have reference material in my report that talks about where I was able to get this ROS, and you'll see in the write-up that I have too, that you'll see how we set it all up, our destination planning for each one of the sites and in the areas that we want to go to. So this is getting back to the Numa tour that we set up. We started off with going into the Reno Sparks Indian Colony. And then you have that's the site. So that's site number one. And then you have management responsibility, who's in charge of that at Reno Sparks Indian Colony. But you can see down there, looking down, you see Bureau of Land Management, you see the Pyramid Lake Tribe, different areas that you want to be able to identify whose management responsibility is in that area, because that's where you have to develop your partnerships if it's going beyond just being on tribal lands and it's also involved in a different area. We want to be able to put the location on there. So not only our map, when we put together our navigation app, that it's all connected into a site location on there. So you can use this. It's just like using Google Maps, and it routes you and it tells you the distance to get there. Our navigation app does the exact same thing, and it's tied into this recreation spectrum along with our map that we created. Then we have recreational opportunities such as fishing in Truckee River, to biking, swimming, boating, picnic. These are all things that we can identify in there. And then we can identify, and so you can have like little subsections of this, and you could talk about identifying cultural identity, economic development. This is where we can list all the economic development that the Reno Sparks Indian Colony is doing. So you look down there and you see the Wild Horse Sanctuary, which is managed by BLM. It's an area that brings wild horses to, that they're in captivity in this area right here. But anybody traveling out to Pyramid Lake on the scenic byway, you can travel through this area right here. You can stop off and you can see these wild horses that are in the area. The cultural significance of the horse and how this was This was a very instrumental in the War of 1860 out at Pyramid Lake, where the U.S. Army underestimated the power of, or the size force and the availability to have horses and also to have guns along with bows to be able to have a war out there that was just so one-sided. It was just like the Battle of Bighorn. Is that the this one right here? There was just a handful of warriors that were killed, and there was well over 100 soldiers that were killed. Very, very one-sided. So this is an opportunity to go out and be able to see the significance of the horse and go to the war site. We have the Pyramid Lake Marina. You have the scenic byway. It talks about how you travel through the scenic byway. So these are just an example. And in my paper, I have all the different destinations that we have that we work with and doing our destination development. Now, this led into all the things that we talked about, the community value approach, developing the sustainability pledges, creating this ROS spectrum, recreational opportunity spectrum that we have out there. And what that does is that when you look at it, there it is again. This is the NUMA, or the Northern Paiute tour. We have our sustainability pledge that you see on there, where we talk about the N, the U, the M, and the U, what it stands for, and how that's become our guiding principle for our destination. We incorporate language in there. You can see a guide that's down there. We just in the process of coming up with a traditional name. That's Walker Lake that you see over there. And then we have signature events that we put in, such as having the Numaga Days and Pinot Festival and Sacred Visions and Pyramid Lake Tribal Museum and Fallon Powwow. These are all signature events that we have in there. And you can even take it further if you want to have, like we've done, where we put economic development. So people that are traveling out the area are going to go and visit museums or go to a different economic development that you have, maybe stopping by at a gas station that you have. Out here, we have gas stations that you can go to that they have food, they have fireworks, and they sell our art that's there too. So these are things that you can run with, these cultural one sheets right here. And then we have a QR code that you see in the bottom left-hand corner. That QR code takes you to our navigation app, or excuse me, it takes you to our website where you can download the navigation app, and then you can put that. So the next thing we're going to be doing as we're moving forward, we're going to take out where you see nativeamerica.travel. We're going to put in Destination Native America on there. We're going to have, which is their new platform that they have. You're going to see we have we're going to add in our navigation app there, so you can also download our navigation app. These things are not only something that we can put into different areas to promote our destination development, but it's also something that we can use when we're going around to travel trade shows or we're setting up booths. Because if we just put down, okay, you want to go out into Central Nevada, here's an opportunity right here. Here's this cultural one sheet. We have one for the Washoe people. We have one for each one of the 5 major groups. So if you're going down to Las Vegas and you want to get out of the downtown strip area, and you can even visit the economic development that they have. They have, I mean, one of the finest golf courses just outside of Las Vegas that's run by the Southern Paiute tribe of Las Vegas. It's just world-class type golf resort out there. And then you have the world's largest, I think it's the world's largest dispensary that's right down there. And then they have the spring reserve or preserve, and that spring, it is the original homelands of the Southern Paiute right in that area there, which is in downtown Las Vegas. So you can see how you can use these cultural sheets to promote all your destination development. So bam, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 we have right out there. We can guide anybody into going out and seeing our destination development that we have. And this is utilizing that community value approach that I've been talking about. Then this led into developing our navigation app, and this one here is a downloadable navigation app. It talks about the difference of each one of the tribes. It talks about each one of these cultural sheets. And what's cool about it is that previous slide that I showed you, when you go onto our navigation app, if you just click on this one right here, it'll take you to all the destinations that we have out there, and you can create your own destination. You know, you say you want to just go to 4 or 5 of those sites, you can see all of them in there. And We're in the process right now of doing. We've put all this information in there. Now we're starting to develop our destination. So if you go on there and you don't see too much right now, because this has just been a huge task to work on this navigation app, and we're trying, we're moving forward, and we're trying to make sure that we put all the information that needs to be in there. But it's going to take a while because we are 100% volunteer organization. We all volunteer our time to do all the destination development that you see here. But in there, it promotes our ecotourism opportunities, our natural beauty that we have of the Great Basin, the wildlife, the culture of our Great Basin Indigenous people. All of this you can find on our website. You can find on our navigation app. You can find on our cultural sheets. We're just like always trying to promote what a beautiful and unique area that we have here in the Great Basin. It identifies our vision, our sustainability pillars, which are our guiding principles out there. And then that's all within it's always what we have to think about when we're doing our destination plan. And one of the biggest challenge, and here's our app that you can download. You can go onto our website. When you go onto our website, every page that you go onto will show, set up your destination, and it always will put a link there in front of you to make sure that you can utilize our navigation app, or you can just look at our website that we have here. Getting back to what I was talking about, one of the biggest challenges that we have out there is our tribal leaders are always, the council is always changing. And so we always constantly have to go back and make sure that we're revisiting and showing the things that we're doing with Nevada's Indian Territory. One of the cool things we do is we always put in for a grant that promotes the tourism through our cultural events that we have. So we have marketing grants, so we help out all of our tribes with their powwows or their cultural events, and we send money over. And in the big scheme of things, it's not paying for everything by any means at all, but it is providing economic support to each one of our cultural events that we have here in the Great Basin. This is a great example of what we use how you're incorporating the language in there. You're making sure the language. We met with the Washoe tribe, and we made sure that the sites that we identified were the correct sites. And there were sites that were in there. There were petroglyph sites. There were cultural sites where you can go. There's a Lemwata, which means the grinding stones that you can walk through. And the Cave Rock, which is the very heart and soul of our people of spirit. That's where my grandfather called upon all of his spiritual energy as the last of the Washoe people as a shaman. And that was the heart and soul of our people. And they ran 2 tunnels right through the middle of that. These are things that they wanted us to take out and not even promote in there, even though anybody can find where to go at and visit petroglyphs in the state of, or around the shorelines of Lake Tahoe, or go on this Lame Wanta out of respect. And this is what I wanted to really emphasize, is that always work with the tribes to make sure that that's the information that they want posted out there. Looking into our future, and I know we're running out of time, and so I'm trying to be very aware of that. We have a strategic development plan that we developed, which is called Many Tribes, One Destination. It's a very sustainable approach. It's not based upon economic primarily. It has to do with economic, promoting each one of the tribes, but our main focus is that community value approach that we're talking about. So that's there. Anybody can hit me up and I can send you our strategic development plan. We have continual destination development. Like I mentioned before, we have to always develop this content out there, and we're constantly revising our content and making sure that it's exactly what we want to promote through our destination development. We have we work with all of our tribal communities to identify projects. A good one is right now we're working with the Shoshone-Paiute tribe on promoting the story of Wovoka. Wovoka was that shaman that we travel worldwide, that we hear stories about. That's how significant Wovoka is, and he had his vision right here in the Great Basin in the heart, in the homelands of the Shoshone-Paiute tribe. And that became the ghost dance, and that traveled across the country. And it was so feared by the US government that anybody was found doing this particular dance that was the vision of Wovoka, they were shot and killed. Massacres happened out there as a result of this dance. That happened right here in the Great Basin, and we're working with the tribe to have that trust for us to help them with their destination development. We want to move into continuing on with our cultural sheets. We want to do one for the Duck Valley Shoshone-Paiute tribe. We want to do one for Pyramid Lake. So we're working with each one of our tribal communities when they want to start really promoting their tourism, that we can develop these cultural sheets. And then we're going to develop a top 10 Nevada's Indian Territory destination. And really one of the big reasons why we want to do this is that we have the Summer Olympics, which is going to come up here in 2 years. We have the soccer World Soccer Championships going to happen down in the LA area, and it's 4-hour drive from LA to Las Vegas, and a lot of people want to come to the destination Las Vegas. So we figure if we make a top 10 destination, people can come onto our website and look at these top 10 destinations that we're trying to develop. We have the Summer Olympics is going to go to, the Winter Olympics is going to go to Salt Lake, Utah, which is in the Great Basin. And it's just, as all you guys know, we didn't have borders back then. It's just based upon our traditional homelands. And this is right in that this would fall into that area, but it's very easy to get over into the state of Nevada from Utah. So we're looking at making sure that we have a top 10 destination, which equally represents the entire state. We're working on putting together a newsletter that we're going to do as a quarter annually newsletter. We love to use influencers out there, and influencers can really, really be a huge, a game changer for you to be able to do your destination development. We travel around to travel trade shows. We go to IPW, we go to international trade shows, and we go to domestic trade shows. These are something that we're always trying to promote our 28 tribes here in the state of Nevada. I mentioned how we plan to utilize AI for our destination development. This is something that is very new to me, that I know that as we move forward, we're going to have to get extensively involved with the use of AI for destination development. And most importantly is to always work on your collaboration and your partnerships out there. We worked with Leave No Trace, Patagonia, to all of our tribes, to Travel Nevada, which is, we live and die by the grants that Travel Nevada provides to us. So that is the heart and soul of our funding opportunities, to be able to provide the things that I'm sharing with you, is through our development or our partnership with Travel Nevada. We fall as a DMO underneath their umbrella. And the last thing that I have down here that I have for you guys is that you see that we have license plates down there, and it shows the Numa Eagle Dancer with Northern Paiute Eagle Dancer. It's me, so that's why I probably picked that picture that's in there. But it shows that we are in the driver's seat to be able to tell our story the way we want to. And that's what I want to leave you with. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Ben. It's been a great second session. Thank you so much. We do have a lot of links in the chat, and just a reminder, other resources and opportunities can be found on AmericanIndigenousTourism.org, as well as DestinationNativeAmerica.com. And do visit the website again for additional resources, opportunities, certifications, upcoming webinars. You can register for those, as well as review past webinars, and see everything Indigenous tourism on our website. Also, please be sure to sign up for the Rupert Report if you're not already receiving the weekly newsletter, just to keep up on all things Indigenous. Thank you all so much again for attending. We look forward to seeing you next time.